Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Happy Friday for those that celebrate Ramadan. Happy Ramadan for you. So I just wanted to enlighten you all today a little bit more about the dark pool. This slideshow I actually did for my mom, who wanted to go ahead and learn a little bit more about the dark pool and what is it exactly. So I figured this is perfect for me to go ahead and share with you guys. So hopefully you guys learned something. If you have any questions, please go ahead and just let me know and I'll be happy to answer them along the way. All right, I just want to make sure I have the right screen up so I can see all the questions as they come in. Okay, so let me go ahead and get started. Just a disclaimer, anything you guys see in this presentation is really for educational purposes right now. And you must know that trading does come with a varying degree of risk with any sort of securities instruments. No past performance is indicative of future performance. All right. All that done, if you guys are new to following me, you can see me pretty much on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, all over the place. And you can reach me via email at jane@cjanetrade.com or jane@thedarkpools.com. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so how did I discover the dark pool, right? Because everybody learned something a little bit later from somebody else, and you can see how I learned about it. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out which screen to watch today. Was really when I wrote my first book. I am a female day trader, and there's not that many out there. And I started writing my book back in 2016. And that is when I started interviewing successful female day traders from around the world from 5 months to 26 years of experience. And that's brought me to Stephanie Cameron, the stock whisperer. Before that point in time, I had no idea what the dark pool was. And she enlightened me, and I interviewed her for the book. Then I started my Modern Trader Summit, and she came to the first year. She was a speaker there, and I heard the presentation. I was like, oh, I need to learn more about this. So went ahead and joined her room, and now I also work with her as a trainer. And really, what are the dark pools, right? So the dark pools have been around for a while. They've been around since the 80s. And the big reason that they were developed was for the large institutions to be able to get good fills and low commissions. And sometimes people look at these as a negative because you have these really big trades that are being somewhat hidden. And they're hidden in the dark pool for a good reason, right? If you're trying to buy 1 million shares of something or sell 1 million shares and you were to see that on level 2, more than likely it would never hit your price, right? Because if you see that giant order, then people are going to run away from it. If you see it above you as a sell price, you would probably try to sell just below it if you're reading the level 2, and vice versa. Buy if it's down below, or you might look at it and say, hey, I'm going to use that as my stop. Those people are buying it. Sometimes you will find spoofing with super large orders on there, but many times those really big orders are hidden. And you could see an iceberg order, meaning one of these big dark pool prints that's coming in and you're just seeing 100 share lots at a time. So it's just, they're showing you that little tiny bit of that big order. Because before the dark pools were established, there were a couple different ways that somebody could get a large order through. And that was going through a floor trader, right? And they're trying to get it through the volume weighted average price of the day. They could split up the order into, say, 5 200,000 share lots, or they could sell small amounts until that order was complete. This all comes from Investopedia if you guys want to check it out. So just check it out there. So you can see it was much more favorable for people to hide their orders because then they're able to go ahead and get the price. And when commissions were really an issue, they would also get better commission rates. So who, for example, might trade in the dark pool? Anyone that has a large sum of money that's looking to trade in the dark pool can do that. If you ever were to hide your order, if your broker has the ability where you can hide your order, that order is probably going into the dark pool. You can do as small as a single share trade in the dark pool, or it could be 1,000,000 shares. But for the most part, it's really the really big guys that can go ahead and do those large trades in the dark pool. So a couple that just came off the top of my head: Warren Buffett, Ray Dalio, and Bill Ackman, right? So those are some of the big names that you might think, hey, if they are laying a position, say Buffett wanted to sell his Delta Airlines stocks, then, okay, he has a large amount to sell out of his hedge fund. He's probably going to hide that so he can get the best fill possible. He might do it over a couple different days. He might do it in just one day. But, you know, anybody could theoretically use the dark pool, but many times it's going to be the large orders that are placed there. All right. So how do the dark pool activities get spotted, right? Well, if there's anybody brand new to trading out there, you always have buyers and sellers, right? So if someone wanted to, for example, buy Disney at $100, this is an example. This isn't a concrete print that came through recently. This is just an example, all right? So say you have the big whale over here that wants to buy Disney at $100, right? Well, they have their order in the dark pool, and then you have lots of little retail traders that are selling to that big buyer. You could sometimes find that you might have another whale on this side, but many times it's usually going to be lots of little retail traders. And the scenario could be flipped. Maybe that big whale wants to go ahead and sell sell 1,000,000 shares at $100. So anytime that one of these transactions is completed, it's going to come through in the form of a print. If there's anyone new to trading, those prints were what were originally printed with the telegraph, and then it went to the actual ticker machine that came through, and so that people could see the price and the number of shares that came through and the time. So the dark pool has these large trades that come through, and there'll be the price, total number of shares, and it'll say a time. Now, they don't always have to report these trades right when they finish filling that order. And if they don't finish filling that order, then they don't have to report it right away, right? It's once that entire order is complete, they're going to go ahead and fill it and print it. So when it's printed, they have up to 3 hours to go ahead and reveal it and show their hand, saying, hey, here's a trade that just happened, right? Now, is that trade buying or is that trade selling? We don't necessarily know right in the beginning. We know that a big move is going to come, but we don't know exactly which direction. So sometimes we have to give it a little bit of time. So I'm going to give you guys a bit more of an example. I hope you all understand at this point, the dark pool and what a dark pool print is. Are there any questions out there? I'm just checking to see over here. Okay. Don't see any questions. All right, good. So we'll continue on. So why would we want to track the dark pool? We want to go ahead and see where the big guys are laying their positions, and then we'll just follow them, right? We try to keep it super simple. If that price action is going above those prints, then hey, we're bullish, right? These guys have billions of dollars. Let's go ahead and follow them. If they happen to be selling, we go below those prints, then what do? We go bearish with them, right? And go ahead and follow their movement. might seem a little too easy. There's more nuances to it. Sometimes they'll go ahead and they'll take a couple days to enter a position. If you ever see rounded tops or you see that area of consolidation on a chart, whether it's on a 5-minute chart, an hourly chart, or a daily chart, that could be one of these really big traders laying a position, getting ready for a big move. And we'll look at a couple examples as well. So here's an example of the SPY, right? So we know that back in 2018, December of 2018, we had the bottom back there, right? And then later brings us to January, February of 2020, we started to see a top setting in, right? Well, we saw the prints that were coming in as well. We had prints on December 24th, 2018, more prints on December 26th, 26 million prints, right? So when we start to see massive amounts like that, we know that there's going to be a big move, right? So again, it brings us to January 2020, and we started to see more prints, right? We saw 21 million prints on the 17th, 18 million prints on the 20th, and 11 million prints on the 21st. Well, what happened subsequently, right? That's $16.9 billion. Do you want to trade against those guys? Not me personally. I don't want to go that wrong direction. And in fact, I'm watching a trade right now because of some prints that we just had on, and it was one of my trade ideas. So I might potentially be getting out of that, just watching that as well. So what happened at the end of 2020? 55 million shares. That's huge. That's a huge amount. And we're talking at $300 almost, right? So we started seeing it. And then what happened? We saw the consolidation here in January, and it pulled back a little bit to the 50 simple moving average. We saw the consolidation here at the top. And look at how many days. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days that it took for that position to happen. So you can see sometimes you'll have that V, usually that'll happen at a bottom, right? Unless it's a low float, and you might see, hey, it goes ahead and it rips the other direction, right? And it might be the flip side of this chart. So you might have it run up very rapidly and then it drops very rapidly. But for the most part, the tops tend to be a little bit more difficult. They're taking time to go ahead and set up that position, right? So how can you really trade around the dark pools, right? You might want to go ahead and watch them, learn it, and trade around it, right? So for newer traders, you can join the training pit. That's where I help people. Twice a week I teach in there. We have 4 different teachers in there. Or even if you're an experienced trader and you want to trade around these prints, you can get an app, the Dark Pool app, which is awesome as well. If you're not in front of your computer and you want to maybe swing trade as well, you can use these prints. People that we want to have intense study, we do have dark pool boot camps that happen 4 times a year during earnings season. And that next one is May 15th, just coming up. So there are some spots available. And then the final is over in the Java pit. That's where I trade every day as well. And you can definitely join there as well. So those are just a little bit of the glimpses of what's going on. Again, if you guys want to reach out to me, you can pretty much reach me anywhere. I'm very accessible. I will respond back to you. During these quarantine times, my little ones are home, so it does take me a little bit longer. Usually it will be at night if you do reach out to me that I will get back to you. But that's it for these slides. Let's go ahead and look at some pertinent ones for today, right? So I've got the SPY up here. I know there's going to be some people that say, Jane, your chart is too busy. Well, we use the moving averages a lot, but I wanted to show you a couple of the most current prints that can hopefully help you guys profit, right? Today we've seen a lot of real-time prints on the SPY. So I wanted to go ahead and give you guys the little glimpses. If you like it, come on over and come to the dark side. So you can see we've got these, we've had a couple prints that happened today. We had a little one right here, and we had some more here and here. And when I'm talking about little, I'm talking about maybe 100,000 shares. But these two prints, let me go ahead and stretch it a little bit for you so you can see. So 276.56 and 276.59. There were 2 million shares at each of those prices today. So they can go ahead and do what they want in the middle of the day, right? But really where we end up later today could really be a deciding factor as to where we're going. We also had real-time prints yesterday. We get prints that are after the fact all the time. But the real-time prints we try to pay attention to. So we had some up here yesterday, 283.11. And where did it go? Look, it happened to also test it. There'll be times where you can also see this level right here. This was an older level that was from months ago, right? If I pull it back on the daily chart, I can show you. But you can see that that level gets respected again and again, right? So right now, we've tested that level pre-market. Hey, look, more sellers came in, right? Again, oh, more sellers came in right here. And we came down. This is a level from a couple days ago, right here. So where are we going to end up? Are we going to end up above all of these prints? Or are we going to end up below all these prints? These are the most current real-time prints. So always looking to help share and help you guys profit. That's what's really important. The stock market has enough money for everybody to profit in it. So if we work together, everybody can really profit. And when you have a little bit of an edge, it's even better. Let's see, you can also see why is it perhaps stopping right here. I'll show you guys. I'm going to turn on the Camarillas. You can see another little trick. You see that? Maybe you just thought, oh, it like that 2850 area, right? Well, you can see now, hey, look, there's a line there. What is that line? And it can many times respect those lines over and over again. Look, here's another one. It bounced off of this line earlier in the day. So that's just some of the really cool stuff that I love to share with you guys, because it really helped me in my trading to see what the really big guys are doing. Yeah, you can scalp all day long, but you're going to also have many times bigger moves when you start to see the really big prints, especially if you're also tracking like the majors like Microsoft as well as Apple. You can see, all right, I understand why these are moving up. Had Carnival on my list for today. And when we pull it back on our daily, let me get rid of those Camarillas. Oh, they'll disappear. You can see as well. All right, yes, you guys can see. Look, I have a print there, right? And look at what happened. It's just in a consolidation area right here, right? So it's not going up, it's not going down. So maybe we need to wait for this trade till there's a clear movement. Hey, is it going to break down below 1140? Right? I'll go ahead and set that up. Or is it going to break up? You can see this, you know, all the different studies, Wyckoff, everything like that. When you start to just trade off the chart technically, it's so much easier. No more opinions. Hey, look, there's a print. For now, we're below it. Maybe we're going to go ahead and we'll break above it. But for this point in time, we had massive volume down here, double bottom, came up to the 20 simple moving average, and now we're just consolidating between these levels, right? The volume is dropping, not so encouraging for potential longs there, right? Maybe you'd want to see that volume ramping up. But hey, if we break above here, then I want to know, right? I want to know actually if we break above here, 1370, right? Because when you have that and you can say, all right, I've got my level for if this goes above, if this goes below, I'm going to keep this on watch. And then I'm going to go ahead and see which direction these really big guys are going to take it. And I'm just going to profit with them. So we try to keep it simple, right? Try not to overcomplicate the trading. Is the chart telling you that it's a long, or is the chart telling you that it's a short? You can't go in predisposed to a particular ticker or a stock. So when I do my list as well, every day that I come, I'm looking at the large volume movers, right? I want to know that there's big volume behind that potential trade that's coming. And you can see, all right, beyond meat, right? Well, today, if you traded it off my watch list, you could have had a nice little run up, right? And look at right where it stopped. A little secret. And now it's coming back down. So now it's pretty much, hey, it's in the middle of the day, not a great time to trade, and a no trading zone right here for me. It's in between these levels. I'm not interested in it. But it had a nice move this morning. And then, hey, it came up, it tested that high again, and it rejected it. So you could have made money on both sides, right? Are there any questions? I'm just checking to see. Mike, do we have any questions from anybody in the live stream? And what we also do is, these prints can be used for a day trade or a swing trade. So if you start to see that there is a big move coming, right? Maybe we get a massive print. Like, let me go to USO. And I happen to spot 50 million shares of USO as a late dark pool print. And it was, let me get rid of this, remove that. It was back up here. And you see that downward spike to 346? I was really curious. I thought, this is really strange, right? We never traded there. And sure enough, it was 5 blocks of 10 million shares at 3.46. I'm like, whoa, I need to pay attention to this. And sure enough, the next day, you can see it came down, dropped down. Of course, USO with the futures being tied to, it's an ETF tied to the oil futures, and they didn't have anyone to sell them to, so it went negative. And you can see now, hey, look, it's hovering down here. I didn't track it to see if we've had another 50 million shares coming in, but it looks like there was pretty big volume right here. I could go back and do the research and see if we did have that. And for now, it's just sort of hovering sideways. But people are so curious now. They're like, I want to buy oil. I want to buy oil. Well, when we start to see the buying in the prints, that's when it's time to buy oil. Just like when we start to see the selling, which is that selling today or is that buying today on the SPY? We don't know yet, right? All we know, let's go to a 45-minute chart. all we know is that they're laying a position. You can also see back here, we had consolidation, right? And we're right at that level again. Let me get rid of those Camarillas for you guys. Hey, Google off. Okay, so I just got a question. Said, what indicators do you use for equity day trading? I'm a newbie. All right, so the one that I had on here is the Camarilla. So that's one that I use, as well as moving averages, EMAs and SMAs, and volume as well. And one that I like to use just for looking at to see for the day, to see if, you know, hey, is this going to be where the big print of the day is, right? So it's the volume session. And this is on TradingView. If you guys ever have questions about TradingView, I did do a video on YouTube about setting it up. So that's a great resource for whoever just asked that question. So you can go and you can see right here, we happen to have those prints, right? And this yellow line is going to be the point of control for the day. So that's where the most volume on the 45-minute chart was traded for the day. Not the volume weighted average price, but the actual location of what is in control for the day. So right now we're above that point of control, right? But you can also see, hey, look, every time that we're hitting this moving average, it's dropping down. So I leave all my moving averages on all my time frames. People are like, oh my gosh, it's so busy. But when you start to see time and time again that those moving averages perform, that's why I just went to literally a black and white chart, black background, because it's easier on my eyes, and white candlesticks to see where we are in relation. These yellow candlesticks are going to be inside candlesticks, just to make it a little bit easier for my eyes too in identifying those. So we can see, hey, look, where are we going to close? This is also a prior trend line. So trend lines, moving averages, volume. That's really the big things that I'm looking for. And setting up alerts. You know, where is this big, massive volume? The volume drives the price action. Just like basic supply and demand. If you have a large amount of selling, what do you anticipate to happen to the market? Likely going to drop, right? Large amount of buying, there's demand, like toilet paper, right? Everybody was scalping their toilet paper. Saw a great little meme. Hey, 2020 summed up in one sentence. A roll of toilet paper is worth more than a barrel of oil. So just try to keep it simple. Try not to overcomplicate it. All right? Any other questions out there that I can help you guys with? All right, I see Mike typing away. Not this moment. Okay, cool, guys. All right, so if there's no other questions, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for today. Remember to trade with proper risk management. And if that trade is going against you, don't be stubborn. Especially if there's a big print, it could get catastrophic. So keep it small for the losses and let those winners run. Have a great week. Carpe profit and seize those profits one trade at a time. And I will see you all on Monday. Have a good weekend. Be safe.